Have you ever planned a hangout with your friends? Prepared everything with excitement? Texted each person only for everyone to ultimately be busy, decline, or worse, not respond at all? That feeling is truly disappointing. You imagined a fun meetup, full of laughter, yet it ended up being just you with a collection of sorry, I can't make it messages. Or maybe you're preparing for a first date with someone you just met. You want it to be enjoyable and feel natural, but you're unsure what to do. Or perhaps you found yourself in a new environment, like a new school or workplace. You've met a few friendly, approachable people, and you want the chance to get closer, but don't know how to start. I've experienced all of those situations myself. Now, I'd like to share what I've learned, not just how to plan a fun hangout, but how to create one people actually want to join, enjoy, and remember. It sounds simple, but I know it's not always easy, especially if you're the kind of person who has never had close friends, has never been on a proper date, and often feels out of place in conversations. I used to be that person sitting in the corner, scrolling through Instagram and watching friends post stories of their outings, quietly wondering, where did I go wrong? But now, if I want to, I can go out 3 times a week, each time with a different group. I feel more connected, more proactive, and most importantly, I don't feel as lonely as I once did. If you're going through a transitional phase starting school, moving to a new place, changing jobs, or simply feeling out of place in social situations, here's what I did to start reconnecting with others. I started small. I chose a simple, public, easy-to-join activity, like going for a drink, bowling, taking a walk, or playing a light board game. Then I messaged each person individually, no group invitations, no high expectations. I'd simply text, "Hey, are you free this weekend? We're planning to grab some bubble tea." That's it. Sometimes I'd even go around my classroom or workplace, strike up a conversation, and casually ask for their contact info. "Do you use Instagram? Can I have your Zalo number?" From there, I created a small group of a few people. People would come and go, but I never pressured anyone into joining. The key was to extend an invitation that felt casual and comfortable enough for people to say yes. Of course, the next question is, how do you make people actually show up? And how do you ensure the meetup isn't boring? I discovered that simple, easy to visualize activities work best. For example, bowling or meeting at a cozy cafe with a relaxed atmosphere. These settings don't require outstanding communication skills or much preparation, but they create opportunities for people to open up. I call this approach small group chats plus public activities. This method is effective because it removes the pressure. People don't feel like they have to arrive on the dot. They don't need to be particularly close to join, and everyone can choose how engaged they want to be. People have the freedom to come, leave early if needed, and never feel stuck. Even if no one from that group becomes one of my closest friends, at the very least, I've built a connection. That one meeting lays the groundwork for future interactions to feel less awkward. A little connection now creates more comfort later, and that's enough for me to feel connected. At first, the meetups were small and sometimes only 2 people showed up, sometimes 3. But the important thing is they showed up. It's no small thing to get someone to spend even just a few hours of their week showing up to a meeting spot. I always reminded myself of that, because truthfully, people don't need a perfect plan. They just need a friendly enough excuse to get together. I didn't try too hard to impress anyone. I didn't feel the need to talk too much. I just showed up, asked a few light questions, and listened. Eventually, I realized something simple but powerful. The person who makes others feel safe and comfortable is the person everyone wants to meet again. And then the magic happened. The next time, I didn't have to be the one to initiate the invitation. Someone would ask me, "Where should we go next?" And just like that, the group meetings naturally formed. There was no need to force anything or desperately make friends. I simply discovered that someone remembered me. And I began to understand connection doesn't come from big things. It comes from presence, small acts of care, and a little initiative. Every time I invite someone, I don't expect a deep friendship to instantly form. I just want to let them know, you belong, and if you want. Of course, there will be times when no one comes. There was a time when I went to a coffee shop alone because no one in the group was free. There was a time when the group chat I created got no response at all. I spent the whole afternoon inviting people, but in the end, I went alone. But I didn't stop. Because I knew I wasn't a failure, I was just learning how to create space. And learning this takes time. It requires patience. But when I do it, I regain the feeling of being proactive in my own life. I don't wait for someone to invite me first. I also don't expect a group of friends to magically form naturally. Instead, I create it myself. And you can do it too. Even if you're not great at communicating, even if you've always found making friends difficult. Because the problem isn't about personality, it's about whether you can create an environment that's easy to come to, easy to stay in, and easy to connect within. And that is something that can be learned. Then, when the meetings started becoming more regular, I realized something new. True connection is not just about meeting, it's about what happens afterward. Many people think that simply seeing each other often will naturally make the relationship closer, but no, relationships don't grow deeper on their own. They need small gestures, like a simple message after the meeting. I had a great time talking today. Or thanks for inviting me. These small sentences are the strings that hold together what might otherwise be a fragile connection. I started sending those kinds of messages, and in response, I received gentle but heartfelt messages in return. Slowly, the relationship stopped being superficial and began to grow meaningful. I also realized that intimacy doesn't come from grand gestures. It comes from being present in the little things, remembering birthdays, sharing memes that match someone's sense of humor, sending old photos, or laughing together about something trivial. These seemingly small things are what turn acquaintances into meaningful connections. I began to understand that building friendship isn't a loud or explosive act. It's a quiet, consistent effort, subtle but warm enough to touch someone's heart. And then there will come a time when you no longer need to actively make friends, because you'll find yourself living within a circle of connections. You built yourself with small actions, patience, and sincerity. But one day, as the relationship deepened, I began to feel another fear. How do I make it last? How do I stop someone who used to feel so close from becoming distant? Honestly, sometimes no one is at fault. It's simply that life takes people in different directions. One person becomes busy building their career. Another person is learning to navigate adulthood. Over time, the distance gradually grows. I used to feel sad because of this. But eventually, I realized true friendship doesn't require being together all the time. It just requires keeping a space open for one another. Even if you don't text every day, even if you don't meet every week, if someone texts you, "Hey, how are you doing?" and your heart is still open to replying, then that friendship is still there. I learned to give others the freedom to change without seeing it as a rift. I learned to stay in touch proactively without overthinking it. I don't wait for others to make the first move. If I miss someone, I reach out. And most importantly, I learned that to avoid feeling lost in my relationships, I simply have to step forward, invite others, care for others, hold on to what you value. And I realize no one is too busy to be friends with me. They just need someone to take the first step. And if no one else will start, then I will be that person.